All right. Good day, champions. This is Noble Mike Jamison for another Game Time series, Game Time episode. I'm super excited to be here with you today. We have another phenomenal topic. We want to spend just a few minutes with you today on this particular subject. And as you can see in the title, it clearly says, no one wants to be on your journey, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Let me get my session ready here. And I'm always excited to share my experiences with the intent that, something that I can say of value, you will be able to utilize for your journey towards success, helping you check off certain milestones, whatever they may be. And but I'm a firm believer that everybody is different. Okay. And one of my mentors used to say all the time that we are a designer original of ourselves, but we are a carbon copy of the systems and philosophies that we follow. Right. So you are a very unique individual. Okay. A designer original of yourself, but a carbon copy of the philosophies and systems that you follow. And so one of the things that I've always realized from a very, very young age about myself being different. And most of the time, people that are cut from the same cloth, people whose destinies end up being intertwined at some point in time later in life, or even earlier in their life, realize that they had some commonalities in the early parts of your life. And as I have these different conversations with successful people that I meet, that I get a chance to associate with, and I'm always listening and having conversations and asking them, what types of things contributed towards their success, what types of things did they experience in the early parts of their journey. And one thing that's been very consistent is that they all say that they felt that they were different from a very early age. And it may have been different in different ways. Like I know that when I was going from middle school to high school started in the 9th grade, where I went to high school at in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so I was an athlete. Okay. I played basketball, made my name on the defensive end of the court. And because I was an athlete, that put me in the athlete circle, right? So, the jocks, the athlete circle. Even though my personality was an introvert, it just put me in that circle because I played sports. And one of the things I realized right away, as you all can imagine, is that in high school, you have your different cliques. And sometimes those cliques and groups kind of intertwine. So you got your athletes, your ball players, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever they may be. You have your nerds, right? You have who they are and what they represent. You have your good-looking crew, right? The best-looking group here. You have your fashion group here, and you have your really, really cool group here. You have your not so cool group, like the bad boys of the group, right? As well. So there's always these little groups and segments and subcultures within high school. And one of the things I realized that two groups that intertwine, at least in where I grew up, were the athletes and the cool people. Okay. The athletes and the cool people intertwine. So I was an athlete, but I wasn't necessarily so cool, right? Because I was really a nerd, all right, in high school. And one of the things that the cool people did at parties is that they would, casually be involved in, what was a good time for them would be drinking and smoking and, doing all these types of parties and stuff like that. And that wasn't me. So I felt myself being excluded, right, from those types of things. I didn't necessarily feel myself being excluded. I excluded myself from it because of course, I wanted to go to the party and have a good time and all those cool things, but I wasn't really into the drinking and the smoking and things of that nature. And at that time, I blamed it on the fact that I was an athlete, because I was like, my body is my work. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to contaminate my body with, alcohol weed or whatever the case may be, because it's going to ultimately affect how I perform. So I kind of wrote it off as that in the early ages of my high school career. And I never did, right? And so even when I got to college, okay, it was multiply that times 10, because now you're on your own, right? There's no parent to go home to, you know what I mean? And I went to a HBCU, North Carolina A&T State University, right? And it was times 10. And at that time, right now, I got my new group, a new different group. Okay, I'm in the nerd category now, and I was like, man, I don't want to contaminate my brain, because I'm trying to make A's. I ain't trying to be here longer than what I need to be here. So I wrote it off as that. But again, still different, still different, right? And then I got to, I graduated with honors, and I got to my corporate job, and the same thing, right? So every step along the way, I kept trying to make a reason why I was different, right? Why I was different, not really understanding at that time that I was different for a reason, just like you are different for a reason. You ever been to the family reunion after you going through started your personal development journey, and you know that there's something bigger and better for you and your family, and you've decided to take that leap of faith to go for it, right? And you find yourself, because of that journey, it is, taking you down a path of personal development where you're listening to, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and you're following John C. Maxwell, and you implementing Jim Rohn philosophies for building, and you're studying Michael Klaus relationships tactics, and you're doing all these different things. And so you actually look different to other people, because you're not the same person you were when they knew you, right? And so now the family reunion, right? The family reunion becomes an awkward experience. It really does. I mean, I had family members say things to me like, have you made $1 million yet? Like, no, I've been in business for like a year at that time, when this, sarcastically, asking me had I made $1 million yet. I wanted to snap back and be like, have you made $1 million yet? You've been working for 40 years, but no, you can't do that. But my point is, when you're on that journey and you understand that you're different, I want you to understand that no one wants to be on the journey with you. You understand that? No one wants to be on the journey with you. And so when you have those experiences, understand that those haters, as some people like to say, or dream stealers, as some people like to call them, they're there for a reason. And the reason is this: they can only do one or two things for you. Number one, they're going to discourage you from continuing forward, because you may be tempted to go back to your old way of thinking. Okay. Number two, they're going to inspire you to keep pressing forward towards your ultimate destination. Only one or two things are going to happen. So I believe that the haters of those dream stealers are there for that very same reason, which is a constant reminder of which path you're going to take. Okay. Because your journey towards success is a slight edge decision that you make every day. Your journey towards success, write this down, is a slight edge decision, actually a slight edge choice that you make every day. Well, how do I define choice? A voluntary act of that which is preferred. That's choice. A voluntary act of that which is preferred. So every single day, you're making a choice, a slight edge choice, a slight edge decision to either continue on the path of financial freedom that you set us for yourself, or go back to your old way of thinking every single day. Okay. And so that concept is called the slight edge, which we'll talk about in another episode. But you understanding that because of that, there's no immediate gratification. There's no immediate notification that the path that you're on is actually going to lead to your ultimate destination. You don't see it every day. Okay. But every single day, when you make the continuous habits that you have towards your ultimate destination, when you continue to do that, you know that you're on the right path, because you have some small wins that you can align yourself with, which is ultimately the ultimate thing that you want to do. Okay. So I believe that people are chosen. I really do. I believe that people are chosen. I believe that I was chosen. I believe that you were chosen. I believe that people are chosen to be the ones to bring their families, to bring the people that are part of the inner circle out of bondage, whether it's financial bondage, whether it's, some type of bondage that's holding them back. I believe that there's certain people that are chosen to do that because the Most High God realized that they're strong enough to bear the responsibility. I just do, right? And so 9 times out of 10, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably feel that way too, right? Because here's how I look at it. Why in the world, right, would the Most High impart upon me the responsibility of doing all these things that I was going to do if it wasn't for a greater cause? You're different, right? And so because you're chosen, because you have these different things that happen to you to help you get through, to help you break that bondage, you have to go all the way, right? Because think about it like this. If it wasn't you that's responsible for breaking the bondage for your family, who else would do it? If it wasn't you, who else would do it? Who else is doing it? Right? And if the answer to that question is no one, then that's my point. It's you. It's you. Okay. So now you have to accept that responsibility to go all the way no matter what. Okay. You have to accept that responsibility to go all the way no matter what. And one thing that you must do in accepting the responsibility is that you have to understand that in the beginning, I want you to write this down. In the beginning, you're going to do things that you don't get paid for. It's a lot of servant leadership. In the beginning, you're going to do a lot of things that you just don't get paid for. Okay. And there's a philosophy and principle that's behind that. Okay. We'll talk about that at another time, but I want you to write this down because it's very important. In the beginning, you're going to do things that you don't get paid for. Now, I can kind of relate that to, one of my businesses that I have where I do trainings, online, Zoom conference calls that I don't get paid for. I don't get paid for that time, right? And so I'm sure that you do things right now in the beginning of your journey that you don't get paid for. But there's a philosophy and a principle behind on why that you have to be okay with that. Or you have to be okay with giving of yourself, expecting nothing in return. You have to be okay with that. Okay. It is a universal principle that's at play right here. So you have to be okay that in the beginning, you're going to do things that you don't get paid to do. And here's why. Because in the end, you're going to get paid for things that you're no longer doing. It's powerful. Trust me, it's powerful because in the beginning, you're doing all of these things that you're not get paid for. You're helping people that are not a part of your group. You're answering calls that stuff and solving problems that don't have anything to do with you. So in the beginning, you're doing all of the stuff that you do not get paid to do. Because in the end, you're going to get paid for things that you're no longer doing. It's law. It's law. So you can't go through the process of serving and complain. You with me? You can't go through the process of serving and complain. Because if you complain about the serving that you're doing, then you're going to complain about the reward that you get. As a matter of fact, you might not even get it. You follow? So understand that process and journey is necessary. It's necessary. Okay. So your success, okay, is a journey to the top with strangers. I want you to write that down. If you think about the people that you consider not your best friends, think about the people that you consider, the 5 people that you consider your inner circle, right? The 5 people that you consider your inner circle today, 9 times out of 10, you didn't know them 5 or 10 years ago. I'd be willing to bet 9 times out of 10, you did not know those people 5 to 10 years ago. Your inner circle today. Because your success, your journey to the top is with strangers. But here's the magic and how all that happens. Because at first, they start off as strangers. And then they become business partners. Right? So your journey to the top is with strangers who ultimately become business partners or associates, who ultimately become friends, who ultimately become family. So if you look at those same 5 people that you just thought about a few minutes ago, that you did not know 5 to 10 years ago, I bet you consider them family when they started off as strangers. Right? So there's a process that takes place. And that process does not take place without time. So from here to here is time. In order for a person to go from a stranger to a business partner to a friend to family, it has to be time. Right? And that is so critical to your journey. Because remember, no one wants to be on your journey to the top. No one wants to join your journey to the top. No one wants to join a struggle. They'll join a cause, right? A mission-driven cause, but nobody wants to see something that's challenging and say, oh, let me go be a part of that. They don't want that. No, most people will wait till, you're having success and then they want to participate, which is why I'm preparing you for, I'm preparing your mindset on what to expect, right? Because again, back to the family reunion, you made your $1 million yet? No, I haven't. At that time, right? No, I haven't. So, but guess what? Those same people will never join you. They're there for a very specific reason, like I said, to keep you focused on whether you're going to be deterred or inspired towards your ultimate destination. They're there for a purpose. Okay? Because here's what happens. Here's why they would never join you. Again, in the beginning, right, they'll say things like, only the people at the top make all the money. Because you're just getting started. So obviously you're not at the top yet. They'll say things like, oh man, only the people at the top make all the money. Right? And then, you put in the work, you do what you got to do, you sacrifice, you stay up late, you go in early, you do what you got to do, and now you're making money. And then you go to the next family reunion. And now you got you got some trappings of success. You kind of showing that you've done well for yourself. And now it goes from, those things don't work because of the people at the top making money. It goes to, they'll say things like, the next one is what? Oh, I knew you were going to make it happen. So now they kind of want to co-sign on your success. The same person who said that those type of things don't work, right, is the same person at the next family reunion a year or two later saying, oh, I knew you kind of figure it out. But they're not going to join you, though. They're not going to join you. They're just going to say, they just kind of want to co-sign on your success, right? And then the next, at the next family reunion, at the next gathering that you meet them, it goes from that to, hey man, you ask them to join in the journey because you're at a point now where you want to share, where you want to, your cup overfloweth. So now you want to impart upon them the knowledge that you've gained that's changed your life. And now it goes from that, meaning, I knew you was going to have success, to I should have got started when you got started, right? That's the next thing. So no, they're never going to be satisfied because now they should have got started when you got started, right? When they were negative two family reunions ago. You know what I mean? It never ends. It never ends. So understand that your journey, no one wants to join on your journey, and your journey to the top is taken with strangers. Those strangers become business partners, the business partners become friends, and those friends become family over time. Over time. So if you're not committed to giving yourself a 5-year plan to go through that journey to make things work, then quit while you're ahead. I'm being honest. Quit while you're ahead. Don't waste your time. All right. Every major study, every personal development book or mentor should tell you, based off all of their experiences and knowledge, that it's going to take some time to get to that destination. There's no real overnight success. And any success that appears to have happened overnight, there's a story behind the story I'm 100% sure of. Right? So you can read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, 10,000 hours to master a skill or trade. 10,000 hours to master a skill or trade. 5 years to become a professional in anything, right? These are not numbers that are made up. These are statistical numbers that have been done for the last 100 years. 5 years to become a professional. So if you just joined whatever it is you're doing right now, and you haven't been there 5 years, you're not a professional yet. You're an amateur. Now, I'm not talking about 5 years involved in whatever it is you're doing. I'm talking about 5 years engaged in the business of building of whatever it is you're doing. It's a big difference. I talk to people all the time of what I do, right? Somebody say, hey, man, I signed up 3 months ago. I've been involved 3 months ago. I've been in the business 3 months. And I say, well, I didn't hear you on the conference call. I don't recognize your name. I didn't see you at the event. So yeah, you might have signed up 3 months ago, but you haven't been in business for 3 months. Okay. So yeah, you signed up 3 months ago, but you don't have 3 months of experience. You signed up 3 months ago and you got 3 days of experience in terms of what you've actually committed towards your business or your venture or your project. So I'm talking about being actively engaged. You got to have, I'm actively engaged, 5 years commitment, being actively engaged in the process, 5 years experience, right? And so there's no way around it. So don't get frustrated when it feels like you're walking this journey alone. Don't get frustrated. It's a part of it. If it's just you right now, right? If it's just you right now, it's okay. Because remember, in the beginning, you're going to do things that you don't get paid for. You're going to walk this journey alone. You got to do everything all by yourself. Open, close, conference calls, Zooms, whatever, everything by yourself. And then you get one person to join. And then you get 2 people to join. And then you get 3 people to join you, right? It works that way. And what people always look for is someone who's confident in what they're doing. You can't be confident in what you're doing if you're changing up all the time. It's impossible. You follow? So it's extremely important that when you make a decision, that you make a firm decision. Okay? Listen to the word decision. It ends in scission, right? Which means to cut away. Decide, right? Decide, decision, decide. Homicide, the death of people. Suicide, the death of someone, committing on themselves, right? Pesticide, the death of insects. Decide, the death of all other choices. Once you make a decision, it's the death of all other choices. So listen, I'm excited. I hope you're excited. We're excited to continue to bring you valuable content on the Game Time podcast series. My name is Noble Mike Jamison. Hey, look, I look forward to hearing you. Drop a comment. Let me know. Share the video with others that you know, love, and care about so we can get this word out there and change lives all around the world. Thank you so much for joining. Take care and take charge.